Yeah, you're filming? Got my dad in that? This is a little quail guy today. Feasting with Easton. David McMillan wants quail. His little feather. We got a little feather left on him. We call that flavor. We call that feasting. My own house rub on it. Spread it up. Come get that butthole shot right there.
This is Richard. Scientific name is Heloderma suspectum cinctum.
How do you know he's a boy?
You show him pictures of a female Gila monster, and if he gets a boner.
That's how I knew I was a boy. It was Feastin with Easton, David McMillan. Probably wondering why my dad's here. Well, David and my dad used to work together way back when as animal trainers, and if you've seen an animal in something, the target dog, Liberty Mutual Emu, elephants, tigers, chimps, you name it, it's yours. And TV, we're gonna say it because I said it, you know? You're also probably wondering, why is your dad a part of your interview? This is his house, and the size of him, you don't really say no when he walks in. Feastin with Easton, the electric chair meal show of death. Why quail mash and peas?
I grew up in rural Ohio, in a housing tract right next to the country. That's what we did from the time I was 5 years old. We hunted, fished, every vacation we took.
I shot a blue jay once and I cried. Let's try the quail. I've never cooked quail before.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you. If I was
I like
into
the
the
sauce.
fucking electric chair, I sure as hell wouldn't have a quail because I would be dying for more food. Because
Okay.
just look at
It's moist. It's great.
Well, thank you.
No.
You told me you wanted quail. I was like, all right, I'm gonna call Whole Foods. Whole Foods didn't have quail.
No.
I called everywhere. Actually, Josh, our cameraman, he's got a little bowl of quail and mash and all that himself. Josh found a place for me because he's the king of Google and the king of kings. I go there. It's in an industrial park. Body shop. Baby goats, body shop. I'm like, okay, I found the place. And I walked in to a baby goat hanging upside down, getting its throat slit. And I went, oh fuck, I've walked in on the wrong thing. And the guy heard me go, oh fuck, because you don't expect something to be butchered in front of you when you walk into an establishment. What do you want? I turned around, he was all scared. I said, I called for the quail. And he's like, oh yeah, of course. This place couldn't have been bigger than this dining room, okay? He's telling me, he's like, you want buffalo, you want bison, donkey, alligator, ostrich, emu. But I was in this place, I said, where are you keeping all these animals? He said, you don't worry about that. If you want the meat, you just call here. So I got a guy now. A little shit on your face, but that's okay. We're allowed to. You train emus. You don't train. Can I say you train emus?
You manipulate
You
them.
put them places.
You move them around. Yeah.
The Liberty Mutual Emu.
They're kind of like, yeah.
Is that the same one every time?
No, I have three. It's a matter of manipulation. They do a lot of green screen stuff on it.
Do you want to bang out all the commercials as fast as possible so you get the animal?
Well, no, I don't, because we get paid by the day, you know. And
Oh, it's
by-
day rate?
Well, day rate for the animals, hourly for the trainers.
Okay.
Trainers are teamsters.
Oh, so you're union.
$3.99.
Yeah, $3.99. Yeah.
Look at you
It's
remembering
I
stuff.
used to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'd like it to go on as long as possible,
Yeah.
but of course we wanted to do a good job, so it doesn't go on forever.
Yeah, and there's probably, as I can imagine, some days where you look at the director and go, this isn't the day for this animal. He's
How
not.
about when we were doing the commercial with the German dude up in Arizona with Sugar Bear? Sugar's 7.5 feet tall, Japanese Hokkaido bear. We're in the stream with the bear, and the bear is catching salmon, and he was a great bear. So we're cut. Can you take that fish out of his mouth? It's like what? David would take the fish out, Sugar drop it, gave him the beer. We did this like 5-6 times.
Yeah.
And so David's looking at me, he goes, he's getting pissed off. And I said, so what do we do? They say, okay, cut, David, get the fish. And David goes, I think he's gonna eat this one. So the next time we're pulling him out of the stream, right? David's got him. David slips
Fell right
In the water.
Right in the water.
underwater under the bear. Instinct.
Goes to jump on him.
Instinct. So Sugar, no! And
Billy saved me.
yeah, but the next shot, he saved me because I fell in the same fucking rock.
That's true. That's why you have a backup.
David used to hustle in college. Used to hustle pool. He'd go in, lose a few games,
Nice.
and then wipe everybody out. We were in this little bar. One guy, a cocky guy, comes in. He goes, $100. Dave goes, I don't know. You got $100, Billy? I said, yeah, I got you. So David loses. And the guy goes, oh, he goes, well, your luck's run out a little bit. Maybe if we raise the stakes. David goes, oh, how about 500? Let's try 500. I think I could do 500. He looks at his buddy, and the guy goes, oh, take his money. Guy broke.
So I accidentally won that
The
one.
guy broke, didn't make a shot, and the balls were just like,
What were we playing? 8-ball?
yeah,
Okay.
9-ball.
9-ball.
Yeah.
He ran the table, and the guy looks at me and he goes, I didn't fucking hustle. I said, give him his $500. He goes, fuck you, and he tells David, he goes, I ain't fucking paying you. I said, give him his fucking $500 and I'm taking your fucking head off right here. Gave him his $500.
Now, why'd you start animal training?
After I got out of college, I graduated from college in December of 1967.
Okay.
That's how freaking old I am.
You look good.
Hey, I'm alive. That's
That's the
looking
truth,
good.
yeah.
But anyway, I got out in December of '67 because I had to take an extra quarter because I spent so much time. I shot pool for 6 hours a day, usually 6 days a week. So I didn't do a lot of studying. So my grades were pretty bad. I graduated after taking the extra quarter with a 2.025 average.
But you graduated.
A worthless degree, BA in psychology.
Oh, yeah.
Totally worthless. I get out, and it's during Vietnam War time. I know I'm gonna get drafted. So it's early '68, and I thought, hell with it. I'm gonna enlist. At least I'll get something. I'll give you a little edge sometime.
Yeah.
Well, the recruiters, they were just after bodies. They didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
They'd tell you anything. I didn't know that then, but they would tell you anything to get you in. So I told the guy that I like languages, and I'd studied a little Spanish, which
Popular
he said, "What do you
language in
want?"
Vietnam.
Well, I want to learn German. So the contract that he wrote up said that I go to German language school. So I go to Fort Dix, New Jersey for basic training. Basic training sucked, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And when I got out, they sent me straight to Washington DC for German language school. And I spent 6 months in German language school. And I thought, hell, they're gonna send me to Germany. Now, what a dumb shit. There are plenty of Germans that speak English. Why would they send some moron that barely speaks rudimentary German? But that's what I was thinking in my head. I mean, I'm still thinking I'm going to Germany. Class before me, all to Vietnam. So I'm seeing the writing on the wall here. I go and talk to the warrant officer who's in charge of the class. And I said, I think there's something screwed up here. I said, everybody's going to, it looks like they're gonna send me to Vietnam. And I studied German. I'm supposed to be going to Germany. So he bold-faced lies to me. He said, you just passed the test, but just barely passed the test. And I'll make sure you get to Germany instead of going to Vietnam. Now, why I was so stupid that I believed that, I don't know, but I believed him. When I'm taking the test, I'm thinking, okay, I know the answer to that, I'm gonna miss that one. And I go through and I think I've just barely passed it. Well, somehow I screwed up and missed one that I didn't, and I flunked the class. They were pissed. Because, a monkey could have passed this. It was that simple. I get called in front of the colonel who's in charge of the base. He chews my ass up one side and down the other. I explained to him what happened. The warrant officer said he didn't believe me. The warrant officer, of course, lied. They couldn't do anything about it because I came in there out of language school. I was what they call a Spec 4, a specialist fourth class. And then come February, they give me notice I'm going to get an early out. And so I got out of the Army early. Take my wife, we decided we're gonna travel across the United States, go visit a buddy of mine that had gotten out before me. So we traveled down through Texas, stop and work, because we were broke. We had a Chevy Vega and a tent camper. And we stop and work when we needed money. Finally made it out there, up through LA area, up to San Mateo, where he lived. When I looked at my wallet, when we got to his place, I had $20. That was all the money we had in the world. We had $20 and a Vega, Chevy Vega, and a tent camper. And I remember telling her, I remember this so distinctly because I was so relaxed at that time and just so mellow. I said, we're getting a little low on money.
20 bucks.
I better get a job. $20. And that's how I thought of it, a little low on money.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I can get a job. So I look in the newspaper, one of the first ads I came to said, animal men wanted to walk elephants and camels on ride, no experience necessary. I said to Joanne, what a kick in the ass that'd be to do for a summer.
No experience
So
necessary.
I go interview with the guy, and I was always a bullshitter, and I had sold encyclopedias, and I knew how to spread the shit. So I thought I sold myself good to the guy. He said, what do you want to work with, elephants or camels? I go, I want to work with elephants. I heard camels are spitting, nasty animals, which is untrue, but that's what I heard. He hires me on a Friday. The next Monday I go in. He grabs the 5 of us that were going to do the elephant ride. There were another 5 that were going to do the camel rides, went off with another guy. He said, there were 5 elephants lined up on a picket line there. And he says to us, he says, all right, you guys, he said, that one on the end there, that's a bimbo. He said, don't mess with her. She tried to kill a couple guys, but we'll talk about that later. He said, this next one, that's Margie. Now, Margie, she is a sweetheart. You'll really like her. She's the main one you're going to be working. I want you to know, though, she has hit a few guys and knocked them down, but we'll talk about that later. Say this thing, about that time, I'm thinking, what am I doing here? He goes to the next one, Jenny, she runs off with people. Judy, she's run off with some people. I'm just like overwhelmed here. I'm thinking, what the heck? We start the next day. We learned how to basically give them commands and what they did. And we'd walk around in circles on where the ride area was going to be. So we walked them around in circles. Then we started riding each other on them. And we got a little better. All of a sudden the park opens. We're riding people around on their back. So about, I'm going to say 2 months into it, Dick was who had hired me, was doing an elephant show with Cheryl Shawver, who's still a friend of mine, animal trainer, and they were doing this act together at the Jungle Theater. They were sitting and watching us walk around in circles, and we were all talking, what are they watching us for? Well, it comes to find out, Dick is leaving, and they're trying to pick who's going to do the show. Well, they picked me, and I was so proud of myself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. And then Cheryl tells me, Dave, we picked you because the rest of them were so bad, not because you're so good. So I started training. We started training some extra tricks on the elephant and doing the show. I stopped doing rides, and that's how I pretty much got into working animals, and then everything kind of built from there.
When did Gentle Jungle come into play? Another newspaper?
That park was called Marine World Africa USA, where I initially started working.
Okay.
And I was there for that summer and the next summer. And then they let us all go. And so I had no work for a period of time there. I was just out on my own. That's when I started doing the selling. I worked for Schick Centers as a therapist, selling a smoking program. Stopping people from smoking, shocking them. It was kind of like I was in my element. You'd shock them when they'd reach for the cigarette or if they were smoking. Anyway, I did that for a while, and then I started selling the program and running the deal.
That was
traveling
the 70s.
I ran 4 states when I quit because I got a call from Boone. And said, hey, it was 1976. We're opening up a park called Enchanted Village. A company called Gentle Jungle, and we need some extra trainers. Need a guy to walk elephant rides and do some other show stuff. I said, I'm in. I called my boss and I said, I'm really sorry, but I quit. And I was off. And that's how I never looked back from there.
My first experience with the elephants was out in Riverside, and so we're out there, and it's time for them to come in and eat. Putting them away for the night and everything else, and we go out and I had to have been you because you're the only one that. So you go, you jump up on Debbie, get up on Debbie. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Now get up there, sit on her neck, and just hold her ears. And he goes, now when we get going, they're going to take off. And how fast can they run, David?
Maybe 30 miles an hour.
So David's like, just hold on to the ears. He says, and just one bit of advice. I said, yeah. Because now this, I'm green as green could be, had never, and I've been around the elephants, around him and everything else. And I said, yeah, what's up? He says, they know it's eating time. They know they're going home. If you're in front, don't fucking fall off because there's 3 behind you. Almost shit myself.
How do you get on an elephant?
You have them you hold on their ear, they give them a knee, and they raise you up and throw you up there.
You step on their knee and hold on. Usually, like for a show, you have a harness on, but
Got it.
for him, you just grab the ear, and then they lift their leg up. Whoever's handling them says foot, and they lift them up, and you just
You
sling
just
your
hop up.
foot over.
They're nice animals.
Oh yeah, these were great.
I'm going to tell you a story if you're going to ask about elephants being nice.
Yeah.
I'm sitting one Sunday.
No,
This was when that park was through, and we were down at Lion Country Safari down in Irvine. I'm sitting after getting up late on a Sunday morning, had my favorite breakfast. I was married to my second wife then.
Oh boy.
There was a lot happening in between all this.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there after having pancakes and eggs, which was my favorite Sunday breakfast. And I get a call. We didn't have cell phones then, so I get a call on the landline. Yeah, what's up? Hey, Misty just killed Lee Keaton. You got to get down here right away. She's running loose. I go, whoa, that'll start your heart.
Yeah.
So we get down there, or I get down there, and there's a massive activity. Of course, there's a police helicopter. There are probably 15, 20 police cars. I'm looking around. There are just probably 50 people milling around. Here comes Ridge up to me. That's another trainer, Ridge Reynolds. And I was so thankful to see him and hear his voice, because I'm thinking I got to pick her up by myself. That wasn't a pleasant thought. She just killed
somebody and took a fire
killed
truck
the
out
head
of commission.
The head of the park. She smashed his head. The way they described it is, see, this guy thought that he knew how to handle elephants. Unfortunately, it's an awful
His
shame. It's
position was what?
tragedy
Lion
for his
Country,
family and everything, and I feel for him. But he shouldn't have gone in and done what he did, but he paid a price for it. So he goes in, tries to chain her back leg up, and she grabs him and goes to do a headstand on him, which is a way they'll grab and kill stuff. They'll put their whole body weight forward, lift their back legs off the ground, and just try to smash it. But she only had his legs, and so all she was doing is kind of crushing his legs. And so he's trying to get away from her, and he's coming back, and he's yelling, of course, because it probably hurt like hell. And she lets up, and when she let up, he got away from her for a second. This is I didn't see this, but this is what they say. And he starts crawling backwards. She goes like this and lunges, and she pops the front leg chain.
Oh shit.
Goes on him like this, and now she's got him good, and he starts screaming, and she picked her foot up and smashed his head like a watermelon. That's when chaos ensued, and that's when I got
And
the
then
call.
they got the fire there. There was a fire truck there, right?
Oh, everything, yeah.
The fire truck went after her, and she rammed the fire truck.
Yeah, and they let her out of the park because they had to take care of Lee. There was no help for him, and nobody wanted to be around her, so they just let her out. So she runs clear around the park, clear to the back area. So anyway, Ridge and I jump in it. They give us one of the little safari vans. No, it wasn't a van. It was like a Jeep. And so we drive it around the compound to about where they thought she was. And there was this hillside, and then it went down to the fence that was the barrier for the park. So we're walking up that hill, Ridge and I'm thinking, oh shit, is she there? And we're kind of like creeping along, looking over, and there she was, pacing back and forth
Pissed.
on I looked at her eye, and I thought, I've never seen an elephant look like that. When they get mad, they look straight at, usually their eye is soft and out, kind of like a cow or something like that. But she was looking straight ahead. Her eyes were like this, intense, and she was just mad, really mad. And I go, I think we better stay up here, Ridge. So we holler, hey, Misty, how you doing? And she just, not having any of it. So we just stayed up on that hill. It was about 30 feet from her, but up a fairly steep hill. And I talked to Ridge later and I said, were you thinking the same thing I was thinking? He said, how fast you could get up the hill? Yeah. I go, that was exactly what I was thinking. So anyway, we stand and we talk to her. We're just trying to soothe her down. And her eyes started calming down a little bit, you could see. And so Reggie said, I'm going to give her a command. So he says, Misty, foot. She picked up her foot. All right. She puts it back down. Trunk up. Picks her trunk up. All right. Put us back down. We look at each other. Well, maybe we got something here. So we get on the radio. The police had given us the radio on the way. And so I say, we think we can get her in. How do you want us to take her? Well, you can't take her down clear around the park, because there's like half a mile around there. We'll cut a hole in the fence. So that was when we had a lot of waiting to do. So he and I are saying, we decided we weren't going to go down with her just yet. And she's calming more and more and more as it goes. So she's just kind of standing there, and we're up on the hill. These three guys come running down, and they're like 100 yards away, way down the fence. And they're running, and as they're running down there, they're like this. And I go, these son of bitches, they're scared, man. It turned out later, I found out, they were the ones that saw him get killed.
Oh,
so they were like terrified, you know. So they get down there, and they get to the fence, and one guy stood like this, looking like this, and he looked down at them first, and he looked like this. He was the lookout, you know, make sure she wasn't coming. I don't know what they thought she was gonna do, come through the chain link or what, but anyhow, so they're there for a few minutes, and maybe 15, and they finally get the cut, and they say on the radio, okay, it's open. So they take off running, I mean, just like they came in.
Looking over their shoulder.
You would hear her coming.
Oh.
Did you? There's a
Well,
lot of weight moving.
yeah, but I mean, she was so far away. I mean,
Yeah.
anyway, but I mean, I don't follow them really. I mean, it's a pretty scary situation. So Ridge said, what do you think? I go, let's just stay on the top of the ridge here and walk her down there and see how she does. And so we tell her to move up, which means go forward, you know, and we walk alongside her. And she's pretty calm, listening very attentively and everything. We walk along, and just before we get to the thing, we stop her and we go down. I went through first, and there was this little stream that ran on the outside of the park there, and it was almost no water, but like moss and stuff, real slick. And Ridge and I are both going through there. She's staying. She's a little ways away. I said, don't slip. And he goes, no shit. So we get through the stream. We call her across, and there was an access road that went around the park about maybe 25 yards away. We go up to that. We call her up there, and we're still about from here to the camera away from. And he said, I think she's calm. And I said, I do too. He said, let's go up to her. Okay, so we walk up to her, and Ridge said, I'm going to lay her down. I go, yeah, lay her down. So he said, stretch out down, which is what we use. She lays down. We sit on her head. The radio went crazy. There was a SWAT helicopter.
Oh,
Says, she's laying down. They're sitting on her.
This was all on the news.
On TV.
So anyway, so we sat on her for a few minutes. You don't want to leave them down too long.
No.
And when they're laying down like that, they have so much weight it increases their heart rate. So
Okay.
so we sat there for a couple minutes, and then we let her up again, and we're just standing there talking to each other and talking to her, and keeping an eye on her, of course, making sure I didn't get goofy, but she was fine. So now we really had to wait. They had to put chains in a trailer, they tell us on the radio, in order to have a place to keep her, because they couldn't put her in the picket line for obvious reasons. She'd already broken out once, So there was this big trailer way down below, wasn't anything around it, and they go in there. It took at least an hour and a half for them to drill holes in that thing, put in back chains, put in front chains and everything. Finally, they say, okay, it's ready. So they set up I think there was a big pedestal from the show that we did. We'd been doing a show with her. And so we put her in. Now this isn't a full size trailer. It's one of those kind of narrow tractor trailers. And so we get her up there, and I'm going, Ridge, this is fuck. She's barely gonna be able to turn around. So we get her turned around, and I said, one of us has got to squeeze back there. I mean, literally, there wasn't this much space on either side of her. So I stayed at her head, and Ridge volunteered to go back there, which I was happy. And he was skinnier than me anyway. Yeah. So he I got her over as best I could, and he slides back there. He's back there for a second. She didn't kick him or anything. I'm thankful for that, you know. And then he slides back out. I'd already put the front chain on her. We throw her some hay, left her. So poor Misty stayed in that trailer for, to my recollection, it was over a month. All they did was throw feed to her and water her, never cleaned her. The crap was piled up. And then they got permission to take her over to a place called Wildlife Way Station. It just went out of business.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Anyway, and they put her in a place way in back. I mean, so far back that nobody could have heard you yell from where the last cage was to where she was. There's me, Ridge, and Billy Rivers to take care of her. That's it. So we had to alternate days and stuff. And Ridge was smart. He told me in later years, I always had Mary drive me there, and so she had the car so she could run up and hit her or something if she got me down. I was stupid. I drove there myself. Anyway, one day, we'd been doing it for a while. One day I go in, it was a flimsy chain link fence they had around her, and then she was on a picket line. I go in and I unchain her, I take her down. We had to take her, there was no water back there, but there was a creek that was running at the time. And so we'd take her down to the creek, water her, take her back, chain her up, feed her, and leave. You know, a couple times a day, 7 days a week. That's what the three of us were doing. Well, this one time I take her out, I take her down there, water her fine. We're walking back. All of a sudden, you know, I always used to keep a close eye on her, but all of a sudden she goes like this, down towards me like this. And I go, move, you know, and I slap her over the eye like that, which is the way you keep them off, you know, at least initially. And I see she just goes like this. And I realized right away that she didn't have any malice or any intent towards me. And I looked back, and she had stumbled over a big rock there, and it had made her stumble down and come down towards me as it happened. My heart was beating out of my chest. So I take a deep breath, and I walk up there, I chain her up, and I fed her, and I said, this is the last time I'm coming here. Because if I'm that scared and I got that much fear in me, she's going to see it at some point or another. That's the last time I saw her. And then she went from there to Holcomb, Tennessee, I believe it was, to an elephant sanctuary. And they didn't have any contact with her there, and she just withered away and died. She, you know, she was a dangerous elephant, but she liked the human contact. You know, so.
But she was so smart.
Oh, she was very smart.
On Blackstone.
She was a smaller, she's on the smaller side, about 6,000 pounds. You know, the other ones weighed like 8,000, 8,500. But she was definitely a little treacherous.
But she was so smart. I mean, they used her on Blackstone, the magician, and they travel around the United States doing these shows and make her disappear. And Ridgie and Sled would take her outside because they ran the show with her. They'd take her outside before the show because obviously you can't shit and piss in the show. They'd take her outside, or Dave would take her outside. All right, Misty, empty. And she'd pee and poo and everything else and go and do her show and put her away.
No, I never did that show.
No. But I'm just saying, you used to tell her when you were training or doing things with her, you tell her, okay, empty, so she wouldn't do anything. Because Misty was the type that, I mean, Debbie and Dixie and Lisa, I mean, I could walk around with them and do it. And Debbie was like, you know, just the cutest little 10-foot elephant. And you would do things with her. But I remember one time with Brian McMillan, no relation. Brian McMillan was, I don't know if he's still around or whatever, but he was a goof. And we were doing something for the news, and he had Misty stretched out, I think, on the ground, and had one of the newscasters under her, and all of a sudden Misty starts doing one of these things, and then, can we do it again? I said, Brian, are you fucking crazy, man? I said, get her out of here. And I said, Misty obviously does not like this. And is it not true that with animals, you can, like with the orangs and the chimps and everything else, you can have a crowd of 100,000 people and they'll pick one person and go, I don't like him.
Can't happen. Happens more with chimps and
Chimps.
orangs.
I was going to say the primates probably do that more, huh?
Yeah, but you gotta understand, elephants, they don't look like us, so we don't anthropomorphize as much as you do with chimps and orangs. But elephants are very, very smart. They figure things out. They can think ahead about stuff. You know, they're one of the smartest animals out there.
And didn't you train them at Brookfield Zoo too in Chicago?
Oh yeah, I was doing a show in '76. We're doing this show called The Lost Island of Zimbabwe.
Okay.
And it was kind of an Adam and Eve sort of thing that our boss had written, and we wore I wore a loincloth, and the girl wore a loincloth looking top and bottom and stuff. And there was a chimp, a tiger, a bear, and seems like there was something else in there. Oh, there was a fake gorilla. But anyway,
You don't train gorillas, right?
even back then you couldn't get them. They were not available. I mean, an orangutan is maybe 10 times human strength. Chimp maybe 5 times human strength. A gorilla probably, I don't know,
16,
20 times human strength.
Oh, they're
For weight.
Weight-wise, yeah.
Yeah.
But
In
still.
other words, no. If you have a 220-pound guy and a 220-pound gorilla, the gorilla can pick him up with one hand and just smash him.
Got it.
Yeah. But
Best
anyway,
interest not to.
this show, the way the show worked is they had this eerie song, The Lost Island of Zimbabwe. And as the crowd came in, they'd be playing that crazy song. And it was kind of eerie in a way. Well, I'd already be dressed and in this little hut up above, and in that hut was the guy in the gorilla suit. His name was Dale. He was an ex-Marine. I mean, stocky, built like, I mean, really stocky. And he'd have his head off, and he'd sit there, and we'd talk and everything. And as the song would start winding down, well, actually, it was before that. It was like around the middle of the song when he put the head on. As soon as he put the head on, and he had these steel gray eyes, as soon as he put the head on, he wouldn't talk. And he'd put it on, and I'd be talking away to him, and he'd go, and look at me, and it was like a fucking gorilla. It gives me the creeps right now thinking about it. And I knew it was him, but I couldn't wait to go run out there and do that 30-foot dive into the water because I just wanted to get away from him. It was crazy.
What's the change? Do you do more domestic animals?
What now? Well, here's the thing. I was a freelance trainer from '72 till '89. In '89, I started my business, Worldwide Movie Animals.
Okay.
And when I started it, I had to decide, how am I going to go with this? What am I going to do? I already had a few dogs and stuff, and I'd asked the 5 main companies that I worked for, hey, do you guys care if I start a business? Because I don't want to step on anybody's toes. Every one of them said, no, Dave, go ahead, start your company. They thought I was just going to start a small company. They didn't realize it was going to
be what it is.
And I didn't either, really.
Yeah.
So '89, I start my company, and I have to decide where I'm going. And so I looked at the business as a whole, and I looked at the humaniacs out there, and I thought, you know what, this thing is not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. I'm just going for the small exotics, dogs and cats, and the permit situation was another thing. You had to have federal licenses and all kinds of stuff. And I thought, and then the capper on it all was the help that you have has to be such a much higher level. Like they have to be trainer level to go take care of tigers and bears and chimps and all that. It can't just be the goofballs that I had. I get to clean dog cages and stuff and run dogs.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. Some of them were very good,
but still.
But the level of expertise is so much different, and you'd have to pay them more and everything. So that was part of the factor that I considered. So anyway, that was how I started the company. It slowly built, and then I got a couple good deals. The show called 30 Something with my main dog, and that was kind of a windfall, because I got residuals on the dog.
Wow.
They gave me nobody gets residuals
Right,
on animals,
yeah.
nobody. I mean, there've been ways around it, guys have gone on stunt contracts to get extra money or whatever, but no, I don't know of anybody except me that got residuals on a dog, and it was by accident. They gave me to a brand new lawyer, and she gave me an actor's contract, and I'm reading the thing, reading it, and I come across residuals at 10%, and I go, residual at 10%? I don't say anything, and I read the whole rest of the thing, and I think, should I say anything? I'm not gonna say anything.
Right.
Hell no.
So we signed the paperwork and everything. So the show ends. I get a call about 6 months after the show ends. I did 4 years on it.
Wow.
I get a call from somebody that knew what they were talking about. They said, there seems to be a mistake here. This contract is an actor's contract, and it says you get residuals on a dog. I said, yeah, that's what we negotiated.
Smart.
So they said, well, if we sent you $20,000, would you be comfortable just writing off on it and just taking that as a buyout? I thought about it, $20,000. Oh my God,
Yeah.
I could use $20,000. I said, I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
I hang up the phone.
Oh, yeah. You're lucky you got your
Yeah.
pay for the dog for the day. We're good to go.
So anyway, that was a big boon, and then I got some other good stuff. I was still working as freelance for some of the other companies, and the one guy that Billy knows, Boat and Sled, they had a company at the time. It was called Hollywood Animals, but they had a split up over a whole issue. But at that time, it was called Hollywood Animals, and they had this big movie. It was a dog movie called Bingo. And they needed a dog, and the director was very specific about what he wanted in the dog. He didn't really know what he wanted, but he had this concept in his head that he couldn't quite lock on to any dog that he wanted. So we started going to the pound with the guy. We must have looked at 5,000-6,000 dogs.
Wow.
Jeez.
We finally, after weeks, came across this dog, and it looked, he said, that's the look I want. Boone looks at me, I look at him. It looked exactly like Lace, my dog Lace.
Oh, yeah.
The female.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that did 30-something, I had bred her to,
Not personal.
bred him
I was gonna
to this female. Her name was Lace, and she looked similar. And then they had a son, Maui. Well, Maui and Lace looked, there was a difference in size, but they looked enough alike that they could be this dog. And so Boone pulls me aside, and he's a real clever businessman. He's retired now, but he's a real clever. He said, Dave, what would you have to have if we bought your dogs? And I go, I don't know, what do you think we can get? He says, well, I think I could probably get you 12.5 for them. Turns out he knew he could get 25 grand a piece for them.
Get out.
Yeah. So I said, 12.5 a piece sounds good to me. So that was another 25 grand I made
Nice.
right there.
Yeah.
And I got to work on the movie, make wages and stuff. So
Do you have like an emotional connection to the animals? Because I know when my dad talks about CJ, it's like his first son, like his best friend almost.
here's the thing. I've been around many hundreds of animals. There are some of them that you have a tremendous affinity for, and some of them that you care deeply about, and there are others that you hate.
Yeah.
It's like being around a bunch of people. You have friends that you don't really like, but they're friends because they're friends with these people who are your good friends. And, it's the same thing with being an animal trainer. You can't love them all. In fact, when people interview with me, if they say, I love animals, they're out of there.
Yeah.
Because you can't love animals. You can't love all animals
Oh, yeah.
and be an animal trainer. You can like them, and it's important to like them. But if you love them, that means you're not going to make them obey,
Mhm.
which means you're not going to be a decent animal trainer. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not a tremendous emotional guy, but I cried over a couple. My first dog, the dog from 30-something, I cried like a baby when he died. The vet, his heart had fluid around it, And the vet, who was a good friend of mine, calls me and he says, Dave, he's not gonna make it very long, he's really suffering. And I look at him, oh my God, it almost wells me up right now.
Yeah.
He was a wonderful dog. But he was the first dog I trained from start to finish. Another dog I had, there was a show called, what was that show? Wonder Years. With Fred Savage.
Of course.
Yeah. I knew Fred Savage when he was 10 years old. I see him at events now when I have the target dog. And he still remembers me. He'll come over.
That's
Oh,
incredible.
Dave, how you doing? Because I knew him when he was a little kid.
Yeah, it was like you with Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
Huh.
Anyway, that beagle, he started, it's a common thing, not common, but it happens with beagles where they get brain aneurysms or whatever, and they'll start circling and circling. I come down one day and he's just circling in his cage. He was about 12 years old, which is all right. I mean, most beagles lived a little older than that, but he was circling in his cage, and I thought, I'm not gonna take him to the vet. So I take him behind the barn and I shot him myself.
Oh,
I
Old
had
Yeller.
to do it. I
Yeah.
had to do it. I wanted to do it myself. I didn't want him going through some stranger killing. So I just petted him and shot him and then cried like a baby
Yeah,
for
I can
about
imagine.
10 minutes and then I took him and buried him on
So,
the place. I would say elephants and chimps are the ones that through the years that I had the most affinity for, because you have to spend so much time with them, and you have to spend you have to take such a firm hand with them that they in turn become very dependent upon you.
Mhm.
So it becomes quite a bond.
You had a show premiere today.
Yeah,
Or
it
viewing
was
of
out
it.
before on Hulu, but yeah, it was part of it. They're gonna do a bunch of them, but it's called Into the Dark, and this one was called Good Boy, and it had my dog Chico on it. He's I don't know what, dachshund something mix. He's all white and got a black patch on his
He's
eye.
adorable from the pictures I've
Yeah,
seen.
he's really cute. And he plays a dog in the pound that Judy Greer.
Josh has photographed her quite a few times.
Oh, really? Yeah. Judy Greer adopts him because she needs an emotional therapy dog. And it turns out that anybody that pisses her off or gets her upset, the dog goes and kills them.
Oh, nice.
Like a cute Cujo almost.
It's on again. It's on at
Cujo.
5:30. They're doing a screening at 5:30.
Oh, very cool.
How many target dogs do you have?
7 right now.
And they're all white bull terriers.
Yeah, white or mostly white. I only got one, my youngest one, who's about 6 months old now. She's pure white. She'll get spots later
Uh-huh.
because they aren't albinos. Albinos have pink eyes.
Okay.
So, but her fur is the whitest of anyone I've ever had, and she's gorgeous. But I have one that's old. That's kind of she's pretty much retired. She's kind of laid back. I keep wanting to put her in a home, but nobody wants her because she has bitten some kids before.
That'll do it.
not on any target job.
Yeah, thank goodness.
But no, one of the trainers had her at her house, and she had a little daughter, and I think the daughter pulled her hair or something. Yeah, I mean,
I hear too.
there was some
Yeah.
cause, but still, you don't want a dog that'll.
Yeah, you don't want to have that on the record.
Yeah, no. So anyway, she's retired. She's 13, and then I got Billy, Jack, Gigi, Luna, Yeti, and then Ella is the youngest one. So I got 6, and then the retired one.
And they're all at the ranch.
Do you have?
I have
any exotics?
30. I have 32 dogs at the ranch.
Wow.
Movie dogs.
Any exotics, David?
Right now, I just got the emus.
Right.
The only exotics
But
I
no
have.
cats or anything like that. Kangaroo, nothing.
I remember you had a camel.
Yeah, she died.
I'm sorry to hear
I'll
that.
tell you what. Yeah, she was a nice camel. I'll tell you what happened is I started thinking about the end of my career in the animal business, which is going to be next year probably.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm 70. I'll be 75 in November. I'm kind of.
I hope I look like you at 75.
You don't look like me now, buddy.
You wish. You wish.
Good one.
I love it. I love it.
No, but you know, I've been done going on set. The only thing I do now and have done for the past 6-8 years is the target stuff, because it's a cushy job, you know. I go out, take a dog, I set him up, do pictures with people,
Yeah.
maybe have them do a few tricks, circle and speak and foot, and, you know, it's easy work, pays a lot of money, so, and there's no egos to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, you go on set, you gotta deal with the director who they might be really nice or they might be an asshole. People ask me all the time about actors. Oh, what are they like? They're like everybody else, you know? Some of them are super nice, some of them are assholes,
Yeah,
and there's
yeah.
everything in between. You know, some
Yeah,
of them
put your
that,
pants on one leg at a time.
some of them whose image is really nice is a jerk,
Yeah.
and somebody whose image is maybe not nice can be the sweetest person in the world.
Yeah.
It's just what image they have been portrayed as. My favorite is Charlize Theron, though, because Charlize,
You just photographed her.
yeah, she's nice person. She got me the Target Marketing Partner of the Year award because
Really?
we had the dog for an event that was honoring her, and so all these stars go through and we're doing pictures. Finally, here she comes, you know, towards the end of the thing, and she walks up and she pets the dog and she said, "Who's the trainer?" And she looks out, and I just finished doing the Italian job with her.
Nice.
And so I said, "Hi, Charlize, Dave from the Italian job." "Dave!" she says. She runs over and she gives me a big hug like this. And I look over her shoulder, and the vice president that was in charge of that event was standing over there, and he's like this. and he goes, and I nod my head yes. And he told that story when I got the award.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Anyway, I've been beholding to her ever since.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
She's a super nice lady, though. Super nice.
I
Good,
assisted
great
Josh.
actress too.
Oh, I mean, she's incredible.
Yeah.
She's everything.
So
she
many.
does
Think
is
of all
great.
the different parts she's played.
Yeah.
And the body transformation.
Oh
she's
my
gone
God!
through.
Yeah, when she played Warnos.
Yeah.
I mean, God, she must have gained 30 pounds or something.
When she
Crazy.
got her arm cut off for Mad Max and they cut her arm off, you remember that? And prosthetic. It was a bad joke. Josh got it. Josh got the
You're
joke.
really a very funny guy.
I should, yeah.
You
I
should
am.
be a comedian.
Yeah, I need to write more, it looks like.
My favorite animal that I have, my favorite animal that I've ever had, this drives my wife crazy, is my Gila monster.
Oh, really?
That's my favorite animal that I've ever had.
Which
Because
is
when I was a little kid, reptiles were my thing. And I always thought, oh, it'd be so great to have a Gila monster. And I got the biggest one that
How big?
anybody's ever seen. He's 23 inches long.
The Gila monster is like
They normally
Oh, like a
they normally
bearded
are
dragon?
like 14 inches, you know.
Oh.
He's 23 inches, and he's wider than anyone. There's a Gila monster expert here in town. He's never seen one as heavy body as him, ever.
And it's at your ranch?
Yeah.
And you handle them well?
Yeah. They're poisonous, but they're only hyper aggressive when it gets real warm and they're laying in the sun and stuff.
Yeah.
Then they start getting a little twitchy, you know. But no, he's fine.
How many inches can you handle? That's 23.
That's about the limit.
Fair question.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is Richard. He's a Gila monster.
Okay.
The scientific name is Heloderma suspectum cinctum, which is the banded Gila monster.
remember that.
See those little bands right there?
Can I touch him?
Yeah, of course. You just don't want to get near his head.
Yeah, of course.
So he's pretty calm right now because he's cool. But when they warm up, I'll show you in a minute how different they are when they're in their normal environment and warm.
Where are they native to?
Arizona, Utah, way southeastern
So
California.
they're desert lizards.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They spend the great majority of their time underground. They literally only might eat, 4 or 5 times a year.
Wow.
It just varies.
Okay.
But if it's there, they'll eat it. You know, they eat small animals, other lizards. Eggs are a big part of their diet. That's primarily what we feed him is eggs.
Okay.
He's
And he's the biggest.
he's the biggest one that anybody I know, including some Gila monster expert.
How many inches is he?
He's 23 inches long.
Incredible.
And he's the biggest thing about him. There was one before that was 23 inches, but is the thickness. His body is so thick. An average Gila monster is only about half or maybe 5/8 as wide.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just massive, massive. And his tail,
Look at- yeah, I was gonna say, look at
his tail, they store a lot of fat in their tail.
Okay.
And that's how they live so long without meals.
He's so
He's
cool.
he's a beautiful boy.
Yes,
and
he
the
is.
underside of him is gorgeous too.
Now, how do you know he's a boy? You pull it out?
Yeah. You show him pictures of a female Gila monster, and if he gets a boner,
That's how. That's how I knew. That's how I knew I was a boy. Play some trap music with us right now. I follow you. It's like a mating call.